So today's webinar is presented by Dr. Yolanda Edwards. Dr. Edwards is a professor and the department chair for rehabilitation counseling at Winston-Salem State University. She teaches research, group counseling, and placement courses. Dr. Edwards has 25 years of experience in rehabilitation education. Previously, she was an assistant professor at the University of Maryland, College Park, UMCP, and the University of South Carolina, which is where I'm currently going. So awesome. Since 2002, she has served as a PI and or co-PI of 15 grants with 9 different RSA grants at 3 universities. She has authored several articles and book chapters dealing with rehabilitation education, distance education, and minority disability issues on transition and mental health issues. Dr. Edwards also has several leadership positions in state and national professional organizations, such as Associate Editor of the Journal of Applied Research Counseling, past president of ARCA, chair of professional standards for ARCA, and past chair of Council on Development and Collaboration. So, Dr. Edwards, we are honored to have you join us today. And at this point, the floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you, Allie. I want to say welcome to everyone. There's so many familiar names that I see in here that I've known over the years, and colleague or two of mine that I went to school with. So we're both dating ourselves, but that's okay. What I wanted to start with today is talking about AI. And I started using AI, and this is just a personal thing, probably about maybe two to 3 years ago when Chat GPT first started really coming out. And we had a very lively faculty, university faculty meeting where they start talking about, oh, this is going to be the end all. It's going to end higher ed and all of this. And I said, you know what? I'm one of those early adopters. So I have a tendency to let me see what this is about first before I say, woe is me. So I started with that, and I found a couple of things that it wasn't as bad as what I thought, and then start thinking, how can I really incorporate, but also teach our students how to use it properly? Because one of the problems is the stuff's coming out so fast these days that, even if you are a techie, you can't keep up. So that's one of the things that I've found. But I'm one of those is just like when the computer came out, I told you I'm getting ready to start dating myself. When the computer came out or the typewriter, and I was more for the typewriter, but a lot of these things we need to learn how to use it properly so it'll help us. And it's really just to help us in our employment, help for individuals to find employment. So there's a lot of different ways. So I wanted to do this particular presentation. I've done this previous with RCEA, which was last month. And so I got some good feedback from it. So I wanted to do this for ARCA. So today, just like with most technology, I had this wonderful ARCA poll, the poll for this presentation done, and I can't get access to the Zoom poll. So we're going to do this. I'm going to call it old school, but it's not really old school. It's just Zoom old school. So I'm going to put in the chat a couple of questions. And what I'd like for you all to do is to actually answer the question. So the first one that I have is name 3 things you're interested in AI assisting in your life. And it can be in your life. It doesn't have to be if you're a rehab educator or if you are a rehab counselor or if you're an administrator. Doesn't have to be in that. Just any role within your life. How do you want AI to assist you? So I've launched the first question. It's name the 3 things you're interested in AI assisting your life. And if you all don't mind using the chat to just put your thoughts, just the kind of 3 things. I'm doing this to kind of with this presentation to tier it to fit your needs as well. Okay, so I see 1, nutrition and studying for boards, physical health. Editing, yes, yeah, editing's a great tool, give you feedback. Work, educating, writing, yeah, writing. I see grant proposals, Mike, yeah. I'll show you something I did the other week on that one. You know what? That's a good answer. Honestly, I have no clue. After this presentation, I want you to, we're going to look at you had no clue and what do you see now? So that'll be great. Grant writing. Yeah, grant writing. Yeah, writing and grant writing is great. Case studies. Yes, Christine. I'm going to tell you, I've been using it for that too, and I love it. Progress notes, Grace, yes. I actually have been to a previous presentation where they talked about how they've been using progress notes. They have actually used it also to for um, using incorporated with some of their other notes to diagnose individuals too. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Traveling plans, yes, I know, I love that. Now the recipes, I haven't done that just yet. I'm still stuck in a YouTube land for recipes, but speech writing, that's a good one. I've done a little bit with the speech writing, but not a lot. Editing, finding recipes and notes, AI, information's accurate. That's yeah, and that's that caveat that we always have to remember because a lot of people think AI is gonna leave, and I mean, or we're gonna end up leaving because of AI. You won't need individuals, and that's not true. Because again, bad stuff inputted means bad stuff outputted. So you just have to remember that. Social media, yes. Alexis, I'm going to show you, and I know it's doctor now, but I'm going to show you a social media. There's two of them that you can use that actually will help with that and develop social media actual sites. Market does. So diagnose the symptoms. I haven't tried that, but I actually have talked to someone who has used it. There's a couple of different new AIs that's out there, but I don't have it in this particular presentation because I didn't get time to get all because it's changing so much. But yes, people do use it for that. Okay. Well, that's great. So I'll try to tailor that to fit. So I'm gonna do another question as well. So here is this one. And for those of you that came in a little later, um, my pool is not working. So I'm having to do old school method. So the next question is just a multiple choice. How familiar are you with using artificial intelligence or AI and in the field of rehab? So is it A, very familiar? Because I know there's some people's names out there. I know they're very familiar. B, is that you have kind of a basic understanding. And then C, is more of a limited. So right now I see a lot of B's. So kind of basics, which is great. I know I see a C, and Jamie, you probably are more. It's probably a B. You probably feeling like it's a C, but it's not. Let's see. Yes, yeah. I know David, yours is definitely an A. You probably know more than me. But yes, B, C. For many of you, I know you say it's a C, but what it is, you just haven't played with it. And just I want you to think about like now when new stuff comes out, you at first you're a little hesitant, you haven't tried it, but once you see how you can incorporate it, it's great. Okay. All right, so let's go notes. All right, so we have one more or two more. This one is which CRC domain areas do you feel comfortable, do you feel could most benefit in integrating AI tools to enhance learning and preparation? Is it more A, the ethics and professional orientation, B, research and evidence-based practice, C, job placement and vocational assessment, or all the above? And this is definitely out to those that are rehab counselor educators or those that are new coming into the field. Because what happens, I don't think we ever get enough information as the CACREP standards change how to incorporate everything in. Okay, so D, C and D. Okay, that's what I kind of figured. All right, and then lastly, we're going to talk about your perceptions of AI. And this is multiple choice as well. So, what is your current perspective on AI's potential role in rehab counselor educator? A is AI can significantly enhance teaching, curriculum development, and student preparation. B, AI might be helpful, but requires careful consideration of its limitations and ethical implications. C, I'm skeptical about the preparation for AI. And then lastly is I'm not sure and would like to learn more about forming an opinion. Okay, so mostly what I'm seeing is a lot of B's, a few A's. which is great. And even if I had some that was more of a little skeptical, after this presentation, I think that's going to change because the last time I did this presentation, like I said, I did it to um, RCEA. I had several skeptical folks. And so that kind of changed just a little bit. All right. All right, great. I'm glad we got to that. So let's do just the agenda. So I'm going to do a little bit of, I kind of incorporated the introductions and the poll results kind of together. So for today, we'll do that. I'll talk a little bit about what is AI and the types of AI programs. It's going to be very general, okay? Because I want everybody to have a basis. I know I got some really super advanced people in here that definitely know how to program and understand AI and how it works even better than me, definitely better than me. But I want to make sure everybody's on the same baseline. So we'll just do kind of basis. Roles in supporting student learning, critical thinking, and client-facing approaches. Um, we'll look at the impacts on CRC domain areas. So like ethics, research, professional orientation, job placement skills, vocational assessments. We'll look at, I'm going to do just a couple of practical exercises. So in other words, I'm kind of just going to show you um, strategies that incorporate AI into curriculum development. And then we'll do just some group reflections. And that's really definitely for my feedback as well. And then any questions. One thing about me, I do this even in my teaching, as I'm going through things, please feel free if you want to put something in the chat or you need to raise your hand to ask a verbal question. I don't mind doing that as well. Okay, so I want this to be a little bit more on the interactive side because I feel like what happens if I just do what we do like a traditional webinar where I just spill out the information, you don't really get an opportunity to digest it. So it's a little bit better where we have more of a dialogue with it. All right. So I've kind of done a little bit of introduction, and I did that through the poll. So, but I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. As I mentioned before, I'm at Winston-Salem State. This is my 17th year. And oh God, I can't believe it's been 24, 25 years. And one of the things about me and the early adoption with new things is that I have to figure out how do I incorporate it. The other thing too is that I also, for KCREP, our accrediting body, I do review and I'm a senior reviewer now. So a lot of times I go out and not only do I have to do it for my own program, a lot of times I'm going out and reviewing other programs. So the good part about it is I'm seeing where people are making the same mistakes with how to incorporate their KCREP standards. And especially for rehab, it's kind of the similar, very similar across the board. So let's start off. What is truly AI? Okay. Artificial intelligence. Now, I know when I always like to ask kids what they think AI is. And, you know, if they've watched any of those movies that's out there. So, like the one that had Will Smith in it, you remember how AI turned into a robot and, you know, the robots took over. And so I think for some people, last time I did this presentation, that's what somebody's mental imagery was, is that AI was going to do the takeover. And then what makes it even scary, which was funny, I did the presentation almost a month ago, and I feel like is here with all the changes that they've talked about and how they're incorporating AI in the government. I just wasn't expecting to happen that fast. But as you can tell, it's here. We had a nice conversation a couple of months ago with my faculty, and I have one or two that was very skeptical about it. And we finally had this conversation like, it's too late. The train's left the station. So I really need to understand what AI is and how I can incorporate it. So AI uses a lot of large data, high performance computers to solve complex problems. One of the issues that I always wanted to know was, where are they getting the information from? So I want you to think. So imagine, you know, when we now are so comfortable that we go to Google and Google stuff, because I remember even my nieces and nephews, and when they were little, they would just Google. So they don't even know. I try to explain it's a search engine, and you go in it, but it has to be pulling from different places. They didn't even know that. They just know it's a box. I put the information in, and it comes out. Same thing for us. But AI pulls from a lot of different systems. One of them is Google. And so those AI systems can analyze data, it can recognize patterns, and it can make recommendations. Now, again, think about the data. So if I have poor data and then we put it in, or data that is not as incorrect, it's not going to give us all the great information output correctly like we want. So that's why we're still here. Okay. So within our AI systems, you can learn, it can learn from experience and improve their performance over time. And AI, let's talk about what is the different types of AI programs. So I'm just doing this as kind of an overview. Some of these I'm going to show you, some of these you're currently using. So from a show of hands, how many people have used AI assistants like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Chatbox, Synthesis, DeepSeek? Okay, I saw that hand there. All right, and I'm asking you to use the reaction button so I can see. I'm going across here. And I see some of you don't have your hands raised, so I'm just checking. I'm being a sorry, I'm old school professor, so well, participation. Um, and if you have it, it's okay. But I wanted to get kind of an understanding. So with your AI assistant, what it does, it does just that. It assists individuals. So you can put information in. I'm going to demonstrate ChatGPT. It's just one of the ones that I'm more familiar with. I've used DeepSeek. I hadn't used too much. Synthesis, I started using. I didn't. It was kind of clunky for me, so I didn't use that. Copilot, I have used, but I like ChatGPT better, and it's because I bought the entire version, and then well, I have two. One is for my personal, and one's for university, and so one thing I'm noticing is doing a really good job learning, and that's why I purchased it versus the for about the first 2 years it was out. I used the freebie. And then I started noticing, I said, oh, they got the one I could pay for. So once the one it paid for came out, I started using it and my searches got better. But what also happened is my prompts got better too. So that's something as well. We have search engines. So remember, ChatGPT is also a search engine, and it also is Perplex. When we say search engines, think of Google. It has it. For now, if you notice with your phones, some of the new updates almost is like a search engine for you, and it incorporates AI in it. Images. We have on our campus, we're an Adobe sponsored campus, so they gave us some extra, they give us funds to, be Adobe campus. And one of the things about it is we get the entire Adobe suite. We don't have to pay for it. It's part of the package. So our students, alumni, and then also our faculty and staff have access to it. Within the Adobe suite, there's called Campus Adobe Firefly. And I'm going to show that today. I have used the Magic Studio. I didn't like that because I guess because I got introduced to Firefly first, but it's really neat. So those of you that need pictures, now I will say this with Firefly, they don't do all that well with anything you're asking it to show a picture with disability. It still has to learn. So just know that if you try to tell it to you want a picture with, they think physical disability when they do pictures. So just know that as well. You have transcripts. So many of you already probably use it and don't know it, the Otter AI. But I also started using within my schedule, if we have Zooms or meetings I have to attend, it's called Read AI. And I'll show you some of that before. I love it, although it tells whether I'm absent at the meeting or not. But what I like about it is it does a really nice summary for me. It's really effective on faculty meetings because sometimes, let's say for instance, I'm not great at taking meeting notes. I'm probably horrible about the summaries. So one of the things that I like, it does a great summary. You can even make it where it talks specifically about action items as well. So you can kind of program it more. This is just one that I have. So if I miss meetings, I get a really nice summary. If there's some action items I need to do, it's there as well. Um, Video AI. So I'm gonna show that today. In video, I play with that. I really like it a lot. um, Really like that one a lot. It will create a video. You can make it do different types of videos to come out. So it could be in the format of a YouTube or a YouTube short. It also will do an MP, I think it's an MP3 or MP4. But what I do like about it is that I actually can go in, it will do the transcription as well as I can change the voice too. So that's a little scary, but that's one of the features from that. Hey Jen is another one that I played around with. I like a lot. And then Beautiful AI is for PowerPoints. And I did, now this one, I put it in, you can do two ways with it. Let's say, for instance, and I showed it to one of my faculty, and this is kind of how he used it. He was in a pinch. He had to do a class presentation and he wanted to play around to see what he got. So he put in a topic and it actually did a present. He told it exactly the parameters he wanted. He wanted a PowerPoint for 30 or 45-minute session on this topic. And it came up with a beautiful PowerPoint, probably better than what he would have done. I like it was on the spot. It's probably less than under a minute, probably about 30, between 30 to 60 seconds, if that. And it produced a wonderful PowerPoint. You also can tell it what to do. So, in other words, if you have a PowerPoint and you want to spiff it up a little bit, you can actually upload the PowerPoint and it will put the info, it'll change it into a PowerPoint, make it a little bit better. The only thing I would caution you, you need to read what it spits out. Because sometimes, especially some of the areas that we focus on, it what it thinks that it is not exactly what it is. So I've run into that a couple of times where if it's a general topic, it does a good job, but sometimes in our area, especially, it didn't. One time, I think I had to tell it more information about vocational assessment or vocational evaluation. It got a little bit on the confused side about it. So I had to give it a little bit more information and then it went wonders. This next one, number 7, is my favorite. I started using it about 4 or 5 months ago. And there's a new one out that I just used the last probably 3 weeks because I went to the little online training. I will never go back ever. And I got an opportunity to talk to the one of the CEOs for Co-Grader, my university, some kind of way. I'm gonna figure out how we can get it purchased. Because it has been a time saver. And I'm going to demonstrate that one today. So those of you that are rehab educators, I demonstrated just the grading assistant one. Now it just changed about 2 weeks ago. It's called Star Grader now. But oh, that was a game changer for several faculty. It frees up so much of your time. Grammarly. Grammarly's been out a long time. I've used Grammarly. One thing I've noticed, Grammarly has become now so embedded in whether it be me writing a email to me writing any kind of articles or anything or word using any kind of word processing like Word, that I don't even think about Grammarly anymore. I used to, you had to turn it on or cut and paste it back in. Nowadays, it's just something that has just been almost incorporated in, and I don't even know sometimes that it's doing it. Now, I hate the autocorrect, like with my phone, it does the autocorrect, but because sometimes I know what I want to say, you corrected it incorrectly. But I really like that one. I've used that one for years. Social media management. This is something, there's a Vista Social, there is a social, and then there's this feed hide. Those are great. It really helps if you're into social media. It would help you develop that social media based off different platforms, but it also helps you in developing kind of what you want to say too. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well, if I have time. And then the scheduling. So like if you're somebody that uses a scheduler, like for me, I am glued to my phone. So yeah, I use the Outlook and I use Google to help with the scheduling. This one takes it to a new level. So Clockwise and Reclaim, what it does is if you're trying to schedule a meeting for all these different individuals, and it's tied with Google, if I'm not mistaken, it already comes with it. You can actually enhance that. And it will help develop. You know how instead of sending out a poll, are you available? If everybody's stuff update, it'll ask you, "I need to schedule a meeting." You put the information in, and it will find a meeting where everybody's time meets if their schedule is updated. That's my thing, that a pet peeve I have with faculty. Um, Padlet, I don't use Padlet that much, but I know that's one of the AI programs. And then there's several others. Now, I know I talked a little bit about this. Does anybody have any other AI programs that they have used? And if you don't mind, you can either come off a voice for a minute, or you can put it actually in the chat, because we're always learning, and if you're sharing it, it's even better. All right. Yeah, and I can share the slides. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. It was AI created slides. I just enhanced them and changed a few things, so I have no problem with that. All right, anybody else have any other AI programs that they think that I might have missed on that they like? And if you don't, it's okay. Okay, Midjourney. Okay, so Danny, with Midjourney, what does it do? Does it create graphics? Is it real similar to Firefly, where it creates the graphics? You tell it what you want, and it creates the graphics for you?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm still learning Midjourney. I'm going through like a little training program on my phone, and according to the course I'm going through, it's supposed to be the best one right now. And yeah, it creates instant graphics with different commands that you give it. You have to be really specific, and you can type in the graphic. You can or the description, like the tone you want. You can add different type of like photography lingo to get the exposure
Mhm.
right, and it can get really detailed, as you want it to get.
Have you tried it with disability topics yet to see what types of images that it comes out with?
I have very little, and it is not perfect because I have tried some other ones as well, and it gets a little wonky. Um, and sometimes it'll throw in like little wordings, and even the wording kind of looks a little weird sometimes. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's not perfect yet, but I think it's one of the up and coming programs.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Okay,
Sure.
so Andrea said Voice Dream Reader. It is a text to speech app when articles in a PDF format. Okay, so it goes back to the OC RCR. Oh, great, I like that one. Okay. Um, Gamma. I heard of Gamma, but I haven't seen it. So, Grace, do you have any more information about what Gamma actually is? Okay, great. One of the things that um this I'm gonna just share, a couple of programs with you all. I went to another presentation, but it was really geared toward educators. So she gave us a list. But to be honest, that was back in October, well, November, and there's 10 more on the list now that I would even some of the stuff she mentioned now. I don't want to say it's out of date, but there's some newer ones that's just much better, and it's just going so fast. So just know, for those of you who feel a little overwhelmed, like I feel behind, and you're not behind. Those of us that use this on a regular basis, still doesn't matter, because it is going really, really fast. So let's just talk about Chat GPT. I know most of you have kind of used it. If you haven't, I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview. All that Chat GPT is a conversational AI developed by open AI designers. And I can't remember, but the last time, I think it was what, 2, 3 years ago, it it uses deep learning to generate human-like text, making it ideal for answering questions, creating content, brainstorming ideas. So just start thinking, those of you that are educators, and those of you that are actually um, working in transition population. I'm gonna tell you a little secret about that one too. Helping with brainstorming ideas, tutoring, and even more. When I initially saw this, I was like, tutoring, but then it dawned on me, if I'm teaching writing, this actually might be a really good thing. If I am looking at brainstorming ideas, it's another good thing too. So and grant writing, it helps too. So it's kind of a versatile tool. It enhances productivity, education, and communication. And what it stands for is Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which reflects the architect and the methodology used in development. And here's a breakdown of how it generates text and responses based on input. You have pre-trained, where it trains a vast data set of text from internet to learning patterns and languages, and then it transforms. And what that means, it's neural network architecture optimizes for understanding. Okay, so we're just going to go with that. So let me start talking about. So I'm going to transition a little bit, and what I'm going to do is share a chat GPT, and you all are going to help me with the chat GPT. So I'm gonna cheat a minute, and let me go back to my Zoom. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share my screen a second. Because right now I'm sharing this PowerPoint. I have a bunch of windows open. I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time. All right, I'm waiting for it to pop up. Okay, great. So I had prompted some things already. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you all, let's say one problem issue. And I don't have my chat, so I'm going to go back to my chat really quick. One person, if you don't mind, type in one little thing that you have been working on that you need some assistance with, if you don't mind. And I can do it too now, but I want to make this a little bit more interactive. So anyone can put something in the chat, something that they want me to kind of research. Okay, jobs for veterans. All right. So let's do this. Now, is this in development for a presentation, or is this for something else? So I'll minimize. All right, so I'm going to put this in here, jobs for veterans. Now, this is very general. Okay, so this is very general. And I'm going to minimize some of this so I can see what I'm doing. Great. I put it in. Now, let me say this to you just as a learning experience. With Chat GPT, there's some function just like with Google. When you do any kind of searching, you can tell it to search, you can give more information. The more information that you put in, it narrows down your search. I explain this to my students. So if you go to the library and you just say jobs for veterans, and you're looking at one of our databases, it's going to pull a whole bunch of articles. The more specific you are, the better it is. The thing that makes it almost different from going to the library to search, you actually can put information in. So let's say, for instance, I had an article. I might ask it to address something. If I had some other data that I wanted to pull from as it incorporates this, I can do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and say jobs for veterans. Okay. Now it's thinking. I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to be long. And so now it just talks about here, and because I am using mine, it pulls information from me. So it knows I'm in North Carolina, so it's going to pull information, and then knows I'm in Winston-Salem. Now, if I had just used the general one, what I call the unpaid one, then it would have gave me general information. But it's learning from me because it's one that I have, kind of where a direction I might be going. So it talks about NC Works. It talks about job listings, where you can find that information. But if you notice, it was very, very general. Now, to make this even better, and I gave some articles too. Now, this is another thing that has changed from ChatGPT. It is now giving references, and I can even tell it, give me references, give me articles, give me, and it will do that. So just remember, as you're using it, you need to be a lot more specific. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you something I was dealing with a little bit. So let's say, for instance, I'm a counselor educator, and it's time for us to do our K-CREP stuff, or, it's been a while and we probably need to go back and review. And so let's say, for instance, I want to design, or I want to spruce up my one of my syllabus. So I'm going to design a syllabus for, I'm going to say, vocational assessment. I'm going to say using K-CREP standards with the weekly readings. I want it because I want everything. I want my KPIs. I want the course objectives. Should have wrote this a little differently. And let's see, design a syllabus. Now I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm going to use the K-CREP standards. So I'm going to upload the standards because I really wanted to pull from the standards. So I'm asking to design a syllabus for vocational assessment using K-CREP standards with weekly readings. I want KPIs. I want my course objectives. And let's see what other things that I might want in there. I want assignments. Told you, I'm going to be really specific. So now it's thinking. And so I'm asking it to design a vocational assessment for a vocational assessment. So here it's going. And I know it's a little harder to see because I got some things in the way. But what it is spitting out is not only the course objectives with the K-CREP standards that it covers. And I'm gonna tell y'all a little hint as a reviewer, this is your weight in gold. And it tells me the text, it's telling me what text I probably should use. It talks about the types of assignments, how many percentage points it needs to be. It goes through each weekly what we need to cover with the actual readings that it needs to cover. And we also can put in the assignments. It's even telling you the assignments. It's got the disability accommodation statement. Now it's a general one, but then, for wherever you all are, you can do that. It talks about academic integrity. So it's giving the whole piece of what I need. But it pulled from the K-CREP standards, and it didn't look at just one part of the K-CREP standard unless I tell it to. It looked at all of it because that's some of the things that you have to have. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment, and then I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. And then we're just going to have a nice conversation about what did you see and any questions about ChatGPT. So now that I have demonstrated ChatGPTs, what are you all's your first initial thoughts? And you can come off from being on mute if you'd like. Time saver. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can tell you right now it's a time saver. Now I didn't say it was great now. Okay. It might not be great. It might be I need to go back, and as you review it, you can't just spit, in, bad out, but you need to do that. Yeah. It was very comprehensive. I love it. And it was quick, Aaron. So that's the one thing I love. Great ideas, brainstorm. That is correct. Now I see two hands, so I want to be cognizant. I think I'm gonna go with James first because I can't tell whose hand was up first. So James, I'm just gonna do you first. So what did you think, James? If you like, you can come. Oh, James. Okay, did your hand down? Okay, it's
Yolanda, I
this.
think their hands might have been up from when you were taking a poll.
Okay, great. If
I,
you
I
don't mind, go
I
ahead.
wanted to share.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
So for me, I actually found out about Chat GPT for the first time last year, and I have been and I'm in a doctoral program, and so I was stressed out, and I was like, I had imposter syndrome. I was like, what made me think I could do this?
Do
Why
this.
am I, why am I here? All the things, and so I was venting to someone, and they was like, have you used Chat GPT? I'm like, what is that? I've saw it on pop up in commercials on social media, but I don't know what that is. What am I doing? They was like, download that, put this stuff in, and it'll give you some information. And it can guide you
Mhm.
on a lot of things. She was like, I use it for text messages. I use it for this. When I don't know how to respond, so I'm like, okay, let me see what this is. And so it has really helped me out, especially like someone has said, as far as providing a foundation. It helped me organize my thoughts as far as what direction I wanted to go with my dissertation and how to, how to set it up and things of that nature, which put me ahead of the game in different aspects. So yes, I love it. But again, like you have stated, you have to review what it says, especially if you're going to ask it for like references,
Mhm.
because it will make up a reference real quick, and it
Yes.
not. So that's just my input.
All right, thank you for sharing. One thing I want to be cognizant to remind people of is if you're using it, especially if you're doing grant writing or you're doing something for a publication, Chat GPT owns whatever you're putting in there now. So you put it in there, okay, and whatever it spits out, remember, it's still learning, okay? So if it is something that you might get published, or if you're going in that direction, just start thinking about that. And I have to explain that to my students as well. Anna said, may not be great, but mostly likely will help with the aligning the standards. Yeah, because I'm going to tell you what typically happens. We have a lot of standards. And so what folks have done in the past, they either have done an Excel spreadsheet where they did that and then talked about the standards, or they'll do a table where they'll show their maybe the course objectives. They will share the K-CREP standards they're covering and then the outcomes. That, from a reviewer standpoint, especially a senior reviewer, that makes it so much better. It also makes better for the students because I have done that as well. But yes, yeah. What the other thing that because I taught undergrad one time and I showed them how to use it because I already knew they were going to, sometimes with undergrad in a pinch. Grad, I usually have to remind them there's some consequences to using things incorrectly. But with undergrad in a pinch, sometimes my undergrad students, they'll use stuff and it doesn't sound like them because the voice and the tone in their writing is different. So what I did was I shared with them, here it is, what's the effective way of using it. And the thing that I explain with them for my students that have ADHD or they have a lot of issues in focusing, I shared it with them and they have helped tremendously. It is helps with gathering your thoughts. If you've got writer's block, if you kind of know sort of what you want to do, but helping formulate research questions, that's one of the ways that I use it. Is helping formulate research questions. Because for a lot of times, the student, if I ask them, they know, but when I start saying, well, I want a research question that's descriptive, then or I want a research question that has this, and I want a hypothesis, they get very confused. I call it the chocolate chip cookie syndrome. They just haven't read enough on the topic, so they're too soft. Like you take your chocolate chip cookies out too early and they're soft in the middle. That's why, because they really just the concept, they haven't read enough on the concept to be able to articulate it. And so we go through this, and then I have them to go back and actually do library searches like what you traditionally would do, and that helps them a whole lot. So yes, that's my first one I'm going to demonstrate with ChatGPT. So here's some other demos that I want to share with you all because I want to be cognizant of time as well. Adobe Firefly, I'm going to do a quick one, and then that grading assistant one, I definitely need to show that. So let me go to the Adobe one really quick. I have all of these open, but they've got all my different screens open. So I've got to get to the one that can share it. So give me just 1 second. to flip back. And I'm going to share my screen. Here it is. All right, so it's getting ready to pop up. So here is the Adobe Firefly. And I don't know why they call it Firefly. Just seems weird. But what it allows, and it's kind of changed the way it looks on the screen, but you can generate different things. So I could generate a video. It used to didn't have video capabilities. It used to be just images and such, but now they've kind of enhanced it. So let's say, for instance, I want a image of individuals with a disability, or the variety. Let me put that right in there. A variety uh, uh, at work. I'm just gonna ask it. So let's say, for instance, I'm doing some kind of flyer, and it has different ones, and that's what I mean by, you see how quickly. Now maybe I want more than that. Maybe I want uh work with I want to say minority backgrounds. So we're just going to use some words and see if we can generate difference. It actually did, and I'll tell you why, because I've been telling it to do that. So that's why it's changing it. So now I have stock photos. Now, as I mentioned before, with those images, sometimes they just haven't figured out there's more than one way to demonstrate disability, but they always use somebody with physical disability, but it doesn't have to be. It could be something else, but I can tell it. So I just wanted to share that one with you all. Let's see, I got one more share so I can be cognizant of time. So I'm going to share this last one with, well, two. I have two more that I want to share. So remember I talked about how do you do this with grading. So let me share the one, well, let me do the PowerPoint and then I'll share. Yeah. So this one is called Beautiful AI. And with Beautiful AI, it will create a presentation for you. So all I have to do, now I will say this, some of these you have to pay for. They have monthly and yearly. Some of these I broke down and paid just to see how that goes. You can determine what type of presentation, how you want it to look, the theme. You can tell AI to put something in. So I'm going to tell it is I want a lecture on rehabilitation counts. Well, let's do this on becoming a rehabilitation counselor. I'm just making something up. All right, and I'm telling it to gather information. Remember, you can actually incorporate more information to tell it so that but I'm leaving it on your own. Now, as you notice, this is not even 30 seconds since it's creating me slides. And it's talking about specifically how to become a rehab counselor. Now I can't see you all because I'm behind the scenes. But what do you all think about this one? Time saver. And if you put something in the chat, I can't see it. But Allie, if you don't mind, if you could read out a couple of the comments that's in the chat that's related back to Beautiful AI.
People have just said, wow, that's amazing. Looks very professional.
It does. It does. So here's what rehab counseling is, talks about the approach. Let's see, let's go to slide number 3. Role of the rehab counselor. Educational requirements. So this is great. Let's say, for instance, you've got to go and do a recruitment event and you don't have a lot of that information. So it has that. Go ahead, Christina. I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just curious that Can you tell it to do tags on the photos too for accessibility?
I haven't tried that yet.
Okay.
Beautiful AI, I've only had probably about 3 or 4 months. And so I haven't done the tags yet, but that's something to think about. The only catch with beautiful AI, it wants money. So as soon as you go into the app, it it won't let you like play. Some of them will let you do one or two, and it will let you do something, but it's real limited on what the free version is. So probably to get the more advanced features, you're going to have to pay for it. So I'm just FYI letting you know that as well. It does say something about accessibility, but I haven't played enough with it to be able to answer that question. But I will look that up. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute and then let me share one more and then we'll go to just questions. Um, okay. Right. Oh, let me show this. Before I do the grading one, in video is one really important one I need to show because that has some features that I know we can actually use. Let me show that one. All right, so what I have on the screen is in video AI, and it will create a video from scratch. So I have down here, so let's say, for instance, it does take a little longer. So let's say I want a video on how to become rehabilitation count. I'm just doing something out of the blue, but I've had it to do different things. All right, and then I can ask it to generate. Now, down below, it will do animation. You can ask it to do animation. You can have it to change the voice. So in other words, um, changing how the voice, you also can change kind of the structure of what types of individuals you want in there. This one does take a little bit longer. I should have probably did this one first, but what I do like about it is that I can choose it. So I can make it a YouTube short video. So if you're just doing some short snippets of things, I can make it into a longer YouTube video. It will allow for you to go in and make edits to the narrative. So whatever's in the narrative, it creates its own narrative, by the way, but you can go in and change it. But that feature is the paid feature, which you notice in the corner, I have a max and it's got my initials up there, but it will allow that. And that's what I mean by here. It could be stock media, it can be generated media. So you can actually put in some pictures or media that you want. You can do a duration. I can do it for a minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. What type of audience? So is it aspiring counselors? Is it student or is it individuals that are career changers? It allows you with the platform. So it can be a YouTube, it can be a LinkedIn or a YouTube short. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to say career changers. I'm going to do it a minute. I can edit the prompts like I mentioned before, but I'm not going to do that. But what I really like about this is that it will take a few minutes. That's the only thing. Now, the longer it is, it does take longer, but I've never had it to take more than 3 to 4 minutes. But it has music, it has everything. This is a time changer, a game changer, definitely, especially because I remember when doing videos, that was something I hated doing, and it took a lot of time. This one automatically comes with it. And I did one while we were at a meeting one time because we were talking about recruitment, and I did the video while we were sitting there. You can tell I was bored at the meeting. And then I showed it to everybody, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, did you just do that?" And I was like, "Yeah," while y'all were talking. That 5 minutes y'all were talking, I've already got a nice little quick recruitment video. My only concern, and I know with in video AI, it has a component. That's why you need to buy it because then it can be yours. So some of the others, um, it's part of a package, and so who owns the copyrights for it? So just this is a FYI. I'm going to come back to this if we have time. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to show you the one that I really like, which is because it's still going. There we go, co-grader. Okay. This has become my favorite friend, like a lot. And all right, so this is called CoGrader. I'm going to log in with CoGrader. I've already set this up, but the one thing I like about CoGrader, it has two options. It has an individual one that you can purchase, but it also has an institutional. The institutional one fits with Canvas, and it also can download where you can download if you have Google I forgot if with your school, if you're using the Google Classroom, you can download your assignments and actually grade it here. So let's say, for instance, and I've been using this, I'm going to show you the grant writing one. So and the reason why I'm using the grant writing one for this one is I actually got an opportunity to talk with the CEO, and theirs is not like ChatGPT or some of the others. It's in-house. So in other words, when you definitely purchase it, it stays within the house. It's not getting shared out, but it does pull in from the sources. So let's say, for instance, I had a colleague of mine, she was writing a grant, and what we did is that we uploaded the information, and I'm going to do a new one and show you. But so let's say, for instance, you had the rubric that they were going to grade you for, and you also had your information. So this is what it spits out. So on this left-hand column is what she wrote, and it's one of those local ones. Here is the summary. Okay, and in the summary, it talks about glow, which is your strengths, grow, which is your weaknesses, think about, and then it uses that particular rubric to tell you whether you met the standards or you haven't met the standards. And it came up with its own rubric. You can put in a rubric as well. So I'll show you from my assessment class, and I'm going to cheat. I have them, because we definitely don't have that many voc evaluators, I have them to go and interview a voc evaluator. So what I had them to do, I uploaded the actually written description of the assignment. And then you can do it in your added submission. So I can upload files from a device, from Google Docs. I can upload it manually, where I can put student name in and cut and paste their information in. This is why I like this one better. But what it does is it goes through and it does a grading. So it doesn't have student name on there, it just has the person they interviewed. And I did this so we can demonstrate it. But it has on the left-hand side what they actually said. Here is the summary. Here is the glow, here is the grow, and here's the think about. Okay, it had the rubric. I also uploaded my rubric. It will create a rubric, or you can do it. And then I can tell it to change. So let's say, for instance, I want it to be shorter. It's too long. So if I'll say, make it shorter. Oh, let me take it off from being approved. So I'm going to say make it shorter. And now it's going to go back in, it's going to grade, and then it's going to make changes as well. I love this feature. And the reason why I'm getting where I like it is that it sped up my grading time. But the main thing, and this is the last thing that I'm going to show you all, and then we can just have just a little bit of questions. I'm going to leave. It has the analytics feature. So me as an educator, it talks about my overall, for this assignment, my overall class assessment, the strengths of the students, areas, weaknesses that we're seeing, lesson plan suggestions, differential for advanced learners. Here's some advanced things that you can have those learners to do, and those that are not doing well, the below the 30%. Here are some issues that they can do. It gives me my average and my means. It gives me my distribution, and it breaks it down, the rubric criteria breakdown. This is what I mean by we're now getting into the next phase where you can incorporate, even if it's grading it, you can incorporate your how you're teaching, your teaching style, and how to prepare yourself. So I wanted to share this as well. And I didn't want to go over for time, but I just want to give people a couple of questions about that as well. The co-grader is great. There's another one out there. It's Grading Assistant AI. I think they've changed the name to Star Grader, but it's one as well that I've used. I don't like it as much because it doesn't save. So like once you do it, it's done. You can't go back in and edit. It won't do what I just showed you all there, where I can say I want it easier, graded, more lenient. I can change from high school to college. I can do a lot of other features. So I'm going to leave it open just to see if any of you have any comments, and then that will be it. I know we started a little later, so I want to keep it under the hour that we promised, that ARCA promised.
Yes, my name is Diane. Good afternoon, Dr. Edwards. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, I have one question. I put it in the chat. My question is, can we trust AI, and are we going to start living in a world where we rely on it and we not going to use professional literature? That is my concern, the trustworthiness and the professional literature.
The trust is just like with anything else. I don't always trust everything, so we need to trust and verify. I say that with everybody. Especially when I've taught doc students, you know how they go, well, I'm going to use this dissertation. I said, did you verify what they cited? Because I've had that problem my own self personally, where I cited somebody and my advisor made me go back and find the original site, and come to find out it was wrong. So it's the same identical thing. Nope, can't trust it, but you need to verify the information as well. But think of it in terms of speeding up what you need to do.
Thank you for the
Anyone
answer.
else?
Good,
You're welcome.
good seminar. I enjoyed you very well. Very, very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Anyone else? I know I got some semi-experts out there.
I thought it was very helpful, even as someone who is pretty familiar with AI. So thank you.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
And if you don't mind, the two that I mentioned, Alexis, if you don't mind looking at those, I have a feeling it will change. Alexis has a lot of different platforms that she uses, including YouTube and things. So, if you see her stuff out there, take a look at it because it's very informative. But a couple other people used it and they said they really liked it. So the two that I mentioned, there's probably some more that are out there.
Mhm.
I think that would help enhance. It'll speed up your editing time. I know
Right,
that's one of
right.
the issues that you have, is getting the content out there fast enough.
Right. Yeah, so I'll be using those. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you all. Well, I want to tell you all thank you. And again, if you've got questions or anything, I'm not the expert, but I surely will find stuff. That's one thing about me. I'm still in the large, it's always, you're always learning. So, and by the way, these AI new platforms and things that are coming out is going so fast. But I wanted you all to be informed because now they're getting where they're doing everything using AI. So for example, jobs. So as your students are creating writing up their resumes and writing up their cover letters, that's what they're using in the federal government to weed out our students. So just remember that as well, or even our clients or consumers. And I'm getting a little scared because they're doing more and more of that for jobs. So, so just be mindful of how you can use AI, but also be a little skeptical sometimes as well. I think Michelle asked, will we have access to the recordings? Allie, is that correct?
Yeah, so they all get posted onto the webinar. I don't remember the word for it, but there's a library for them that all of them end up in. And then I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Edwards, and just a reminder of the next webinar, which will be March 28th, also on AI insights in real world accommodations for the blind. So.
All right. Thank you all for doing this. I think this has been wonderful.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.